Hello everybody. In this video, we are going to continue building our application. So far, we just did the layout. We have the nav bar, well, the top bar, let's say, is no navigation at all. We have the footer. We have the cards layout with the like and the comment section. We can actually open the comment section and we can load the image in there, yeah, somehow. We have the navigation designed. The pagination designer. We have our logos, and we have pretty much everything, and we have the authentication working with Gmail accounts. So far, so good. I believe the next step, and what I want to focus in this video, is actually doing a third-party API to pull up this information that we're going to be needing. And the one that I was researching and I actually like a lot is the movie database. The movie database is a, I don't know, it's some kind of organization that they actually have track of streaming, television, movies, etc. And it's actually pretty neat. And they say things like critic design and when you select something, I don't know, something like this. Let's see what it came. Where it's actually streaming information from the movie, director, screenplay, the actors, or in this case the voice actor in this case, right? But they give you social review discussion. Like they actually give you like a lot, right? Then let me actually select another movie, probably something a little bit bigger. I don't know. Let me see here. Yeah, I don't know any of these movies over here. Well, this one is recently new. Oh, there you go. We can see actually the actors there, and you can select an actor, and that actor will give you which movie he's been in, and it's actually pretty neat, right? So it actually does like give you all information. So what I will need you to do in order to proceed, I need you to create an account. I have my account right here. I'm already logging in, so I will not show you the process how to create an account. But after you create your account, you go to your profile, to your settings section, and you go to the API on the left. After the API will give you the option to create a new application, and it will ask you things like this. In my case, what I submitted is the name, where it's going to be deployed, so I already know where it's going to be there, right? And the summary, in this case, a test project for the school. I will be teaching how to consume an API with this API. It's actually what I'm doing. You can do this for assignment or something like that. Like it's just a testing one, right? And after you create, you save it. You just wait some minutes, and you will receive an email regarding you got your API. And you came back, and you have the API over here. And you have actually two types of API keys. The traditional one through parameters, or the one through a header authorization. I will show you how to use the header authorization because I believe the parameter one, I don't like it to be sending the key actually through here always. So we are going to change that. So after we have that, we can actually go to the developers and we can see, and we can keep the version 3, that's going to be fine. And we can see everything that we can do through the movie, and it's actually a lot. But the only endpoint I want to consume in this case, let's go to the, it's going to be, where is it? The Discover endpoint. So the Discovery movie, what it's going to give you, Discovery movie is going to be resources, pretty much, it requires the IP key. It's going to actually give you all this information from the movie. It's going to give an array of results, where every array will have a poster path, and let me show all the properties. It will give you an object. We have page, result, total results, and total pages. So that means that we're going to start working with pagination. They actually gave it that. In the result is going to be an array, and that array has the poster, if the movie is for adults, overview, release date, genre, the ID, original title. Sometimes when movies are from outside United States, we have other titles in Spanish, French, Korean, etc. the title in the United States, popularity, botcon, video, if they have a video, right? And they have something really cool here, the backdrop pad, I believe. And the backdrop pad is the one that actually gives us that major background that we're going to be using. So we're going to be using the poster, the title, the overview, and the backdrop pad. I believe those should be enough in the results section. But on top of that, we're going to be using the page and the total pages. We can actually see the query string or the parameters that we can send through the API, and there's a bunch. The only one that none of them is actually required, all of them are optional. But I want to show you something regarding the page. So by default, you don't specify, it gives you the first page. But if we send the page, we can actually go and do pagination. That's a way that we can actually handle that. And because we are going to get the total pages, we can have some kind of basic logic, right? Regarding which page is going to be coming from the API. Another that I like is probably something like the release date. We can use it, or the year. I don't remember pretty well, but well, there's a bunch of them that we can actually use. But we're going to use just the page section and something regarding the date, the release year, I believe, the release date, right? Let me actually show you how to use it. So let me go to my Insomnia. So what I want to use is, I want to use the URL. This is going to be the URL. The difference is that we're going to be using the version 4. Even if you select here the version 4, they have an issue, like the version 4 doesn't have that much documentation, let's say. So in this case, for documentation purposes, let's keep on 3. We just change the 3 to a 4, and that should be more than enough, right? If we'll hit this one, we can actually see which is going to be the endpoint. And the endpoint is, or the base URL is actually being this, using the version 4. That's the only difference that we're doing here. And then because we're using the resource discovery movie, that's going to be the resource that we're going to be using. So here in my Insomnia is what I have. API in the movie database, Arch, version 4, and discovery movie. And I'm sorting it by popularity, the sender in this case. If I make the call, oh, well, before we continue, I need to specify that I'm using authentication. So I go to authentication and select bearer token. That's important. That's the token that we're using. And in the token section, I just paste my version 4 token that I have right here at the bottom. Right? So I just took this and pasted there and just make the call. And I give you like a bunch of results. You can actually minimize the results, and you can see we have 20 items here. You say that we're on page 1 of 500 pages, and there's a total of 1,000 results. Yeah, that's pretty. Sorry, 10,000 results. And each one of those results, we can see the backdrop pad, the genre IDs. So we're going to be using the the overview, the title, the poster pad. Where is the poster pad? This one. And you can see the poster pad is a little weird. Well, we will see that in a minute. We're going to use the poster pad and the backdrop pad, right? So those are the major images that we're going to be using here. Okay. So I believe we have everything that we need. Now, if I go to query and I send another one, so by default, it's sending the sort by popularity descendant, right? And we can actually copy this one over here. And let's remove this. And it's going to be the exact same results, right? And the other one is going to be through page, and let me do page number 2. You give me page number 2, and this is the bio 0. I don't know what is that, below 0. Yeah, an example of another country movie, right? Let's do page 20, for example. And let's call it. And we are on page 20, and the first one is ending covenant. And we can go on and see that we can actually do through the pagination. So the first things that I want to handle here, or the way I want to use it, I want to create an Axios instance. And I will call it, instead of calling an instance or API, I will just call it discovery, because it's just to have the base URL with my resource, because I will not be calling anything else in this example. And I will have my bearer token and my sort by parameter by default, and the only parameter that I will be calling in each call, it will be the page one. So let's get started. So the first things that we need to be doing here, let's actually, in our helpers, let's create a new one called use movie API. We can actually skip the API section. Well, let's use movies, right? And yeah, let's skip use movies. JavaScript. And we're going to need a couple of things. So the first, we're going to import from view or reference. And we're going to create cons page. It's going to be a reference. By default, it's going to be a 1. Cons, oops. Then we're going to cons pages equal another reference. By default, it's going to be 1. So by default, we just pull up the page 1 of 1, right? And we need to have some kind of an array of movies that we're going to be showing. Cons page movies equal, by default, it's going to be an empty array, right? We're going to start with that. Of course, all these elements that we have here, we need to export them. Second element that we need to import is going to be import Axios from Axios. And I believe we need to install Axios. I don't think we had installed it. So let me go to the terminal and let me do npm install Axios. There you go. So now that we have that, we can actually do our discovery. So let's do cons discover endpoint, discover endpoint, discover. There you go. Going to be an Axios create. Oops. And we're going to create an object with different elements. For this, we're going to need, and let's create the object, the base URL, and we'll define that later. We need to have the headers, right? And the header is an object. We're going to be using the authorization. Authorization, right? And we're going to create that later. And we're going to use parameters. And we're going to put those later, right? This is going to be the endpoint. And I believe the parameter we can actually specify here. So we call that the parameter that we're going to use by default is the sort by. So we can actually put it here, sort by is going to be popularity descendant, like that. If we go back to the documentation, we can actually look for the discover endpoint. That is right here. And let's look for popularity. And it's not there. There you go. Sort by. And we can allow values popularity ascendant, popularity descendant. And by default is popularity descendant. So I just want to specify in this case. And what else we can actually put? And I believe that's it. Okay, so let me go back here. So my base URL and my authorization period token, I don't want to put those in my source code. It is important to keep those locally. So let's create a new file called .env.local, so it's not going to be tracked. And we can actually, and we're going to use movies. Let me check this. Yeah, it actually need to be byte. I really need to be byte. I don't remember. Byte. Yes. And let's look for env. And yes, we need to put the byte word at the beginning. So byte movies URL byte underscore movies token. So for my URL, we're saying that we're going to use the base URL. It's going to be https for colon// api.themoviedatabase.org /4. We are using the version 4. Even though the documentation says 3, we're going to be using version 4, right? And we're going to put here just one part of the resource. We can actually keep it like that. So this cover. And the movie is going to be sent somewhere else. The token was what I need to do is just get my token and just paste it right there. Right now I just have it here and I will put it here. And I create my token. Cool. I will select everything, copy, and I will create another file called example.env, and let's paste that, removing the token and removing the URL in order to have those right. But now that we have those, we can actually use them here. So our base URL will be import.meta.env.byte movies URL, right? That's how it is. We have it in, and we just import it like everything's just like that. And we're going to import also the movies token. For that, we just need to create a bearer token to something different. So we need to put the word bearer, and this is the way the token that they actually asking us. And let's put a template string here to put the import.meta.env.byte movies token. Okay. So we have the discovery endpoint complete. After we have that endpoint, we can actually get our movies. And let's look for that. So we need export const get movies, a simple function, and that will be an asynchronous that we call this endpoint. So we're going to call the response. It's going to be equal my discover endpoint, and we're going to get the movies section, right? And my parameter that I need to send is going to be page, and my page should be my page value that we have here, page.value. That way, if we change the page value here, we can actually get make the call for the get movies again, and it should be working. Cool. So after we have the response, and actually we need to wait for that, it's an asynchronous call. We just do movies.value equal response dot data dot results. Remember, that the results is the array, and the response data is all this information over here. That's why we just call it response data results is going to be there. And my pages value will be my response data total underscore pages. My total pages came right here, and let me minimize this. That way the total page is going to be reflected right away, and we can actually have a correct I believe this should be enough to start. Okay, so let's get back to home. Actually, yes, I believe home should be a good place. You know what? We have the cars here. Let's separate this. I don't like how this looks like in my home. So we'll create a new file, and let me call this cards in plural. Movies, cards in plural, .view. And that one, what it have is this section from here. Let's do template and put that right there. And we can actually call in our home movies cards. Yeah, that should be the same. Let's see it. Yeah, everything is still the same. And now all this information from here, we can create another component called pagination.view, and let's put a template there and paste all that. We go back to home and we put the pagination right here. We see them. Yeah, we have the pagination there, and we have this one over here. Cool. Okay, now that we have those over there, let's actually call in our movies cards. Where is my movies card? There you go. Let's call the movies, and then we iterate through those and send it to the card itself. So in order to do that, what we need to create here is we just need to import, and this should be inside my script setup. We need to import from our helpers use movies, right? And we need to get the get movies and the movies itself. Oh, and the current page, right? We need to get those, and we need to import also from view the unmounted, and you will see that in a minute why. So the idea for the unmounted will be as simple as, well, let's keep it like this for now. Let's remove this unmounted for now. So now we can actually do here movie in movies, and my key, let's do the movie itself as a key, right? It's no ideal, but let's keep it like that for now. So our code right now, yeah, it should be empty, right? Movies is empty right now. So we need to call the get movies, and we need to call it whenever we mount the application. So the only things that we're going to be doing here will be get movies. We call that. Now we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So we have 20 movies over here. We still need to send the information, but now we can see that our API call worked because we saw the interaction. If we go through the view side and we get to the movie card element, we can actually see the movies is an array and every object have a bunch of information. Right? Neat, right? So we have the ID, we have the title, the poster path released, we have everything. So we can actually see that the movie element or reactive element is there and is working properly. Perfect. Let's close this. Now, so we have that, and the key, let's actually keep it as the index for now. And you know what? Yeah, let's keep it like that. Let's keep it things simpler. So the next step will be actually send the movie as a prop. So let's create a prop called movie, and we need to send the actual movie to every those props over there. So we need to go back to our card. And in our card, we're going to get from view, define props. So in our define props will be cons props equal define props, and this should be a cons. And our props should be the next one. And we need to have by default the movie. That's going to be type object, and the default let's just get the elements that we need. For now, the one that we need is going to be the title, and actually we need to use, sorry, it's going to be return, and we need the title. By default it's going to be empty. We need the overview, that by default is going to be empty, and we'll keep it like that for now. Okay. So we have the prop movie there, and we can actually call that. What else we can do with that prop movie? I believe we just can do here. This should be movie.title, and this should be movie.overview. We'll save that, and we look at this, and now we have title Godzilla, Mortal Kombat, Zack Snyder, Thunder Force, Maskman, and we have all these description or overviews. Pretty neat, right? Pretty cool. The next elements that we need to call or we need to get. What I want to do now is when I open here, I need to send the movie title through here. So let's the way to do it, probably need to change the order. Let's put my source code here and my page on the right. Perfect. So we need to go to the comments, and we just need to send the movie again. Let's actually send the movie, the current movie. It's going to be equal movie, right? And we go to the comments, and we just have to define a min, and we define props, and we can actually just copy over. Where is the other one? The card. Let's copy over these props because pretty much almost the same. The difference is we're getting the title and we will need the ID here, I believe. Right? And I will show you why we need the ID, and that will be for later. Well, let's actually just keep the title. It's the one that we actually require for now. And where you have the movie title, here, this is going to be actually a reactive element. So if we have Godzilla vs. Kong, no open this, we have Godzilla vs. Kong. And if we have nobody, I have nobody over there. We have Raya and the Last Dragon, Raya and the Last Dragon. Okay, we're able to actually send the movie object through different components through props. So props is a good way to actually send information to a child element. And an event is a way to send information or to make our parent element to react to something specific. Okay, I believe we're almost there. There's two different elements that we're pending here. Well, three. We need to get the image, this image, and this image. And we need to make the pagination to work. Okay, so for the image section right now, and you can actually see that over here, we get like a file name, and it's some kind of a path, and it gives you like the image itself, but it doesn't give you the base path, right? So we actually need to go back for the movie database and to see what happened with the image. Like where's actually those ones. If I go to get it started, I can actually see through here we have the image part section. I say that the image base or point is actually going to be this. And then they have a property that will specify the size of that image, like W15 is an image with 500 pixels, and then we just put the name. They also have the original one, so this is an example. So this is the original for the Netflix logo, I believe. In SVG, they have that format. And this one is with the width of 500, so we can see the Netflix logo smaller. So they have SVG and they have PNG files in this particular one. So we can actually see how that actually code works. So the way to use it, I will say it, I will go back to use movie, and we actually get to save this somehow, and it's going to be the base of the image. Right. So let's go to use movies for now. Where is it? Use movie. There you go. And I will create image base URL equal this, right? Let's actually keep it like this, and we just change the different sizes, because what I want to do, I want to export two different elements. I want to export the poster base URL, and I want to export the background base URL. And that's going to be a little bit different. Oh, wait, it should be equal. There you go. So my poster base URL, it will be, and I put this one over here. It will be my image base URL. And I want to use here, and let's remove this forward slash at the end, and let's actually put it here. I want to do a width of 200. So I don't really want the big poster, because the poster is actually this small section over here. And we saw that it's actually 200 by 300. I don't know how long it's going to be the poster, but 200 for the width should be enough. And my background, I want to use the original size. So that's actually a really big one. So now we can actually get the poster base URL and the background base URL. And those are constants that we can actually have. That means if we go to the movie, to the card itself, we can import from our helpers, use movies. We need to import, in this case, the poster base URL. That means that we have the poster base URL, and we have here the poster path is the one that we need. Let's start with that forward slash. So I will copy this poster path. I will add it to my default element, poster path, right? And the only thing that I need to do is go all the way up. We will have the image, and instead of having this over here, I will make my source going to be dynamic, so it's binded to something, and I put the backlink here, and I will say it's going to be my poster base URL with my movie dot poster path. All right. We get those. It didn't work. There you go. We refresh it, and we have those right there. So we're able to get those from here. So we have all the posters, and it looks like every poster is measured the movie that is actually had there. Perfect. So now what I want to see is actually put the other one to be this big background from here. And that should be something really similar as we did right here. But before we proceed, the alt element for that image, for reading purposes, let me just put it dynamic, and let me put this in backlit, and let's put a poster of, let's put a movie title. There you go. And we didn't mess up anything. No, we did not. So the next step is going to go to comments. Let's actually copy all this. Let's go to comments. We're going to import that. But instead of the poster base, it's going to be the background base URL. And we need to upgrade our object with the backdrop path. The backdrop path is that big, really big image. So our default element will be backdrop path empty. That will allow us to have here in this style, make it dynamically, put the backlit over here, put a backlit over here, and we can remove all this URL and put a couple of variables. So the poster movie backdrop path will be there, and the background base URL should be here. Having those, if we open this, we have the Godzilla background there. We open the Thunder Force. The Thunder Force there. Nobody. Let's have actually nobody. This is a really big image, and as you can see, you see the face of there. I don't know how the actor called, just know her soul, but yeah. So let's see Raya. Yeah. So we have pretty much almost everything ready. Next step is to make the pagination work. So when we actually change the page, this should be the correct number. We know that this actually is 500, so it should be 500. And when we move it, it should be inside that pattern. So let's go to the movie section. The use movie. And let's create another two functions over here. Let export cons, let's call the next page. It should be a simple function that should be doing something about it, right? And at the same time, we have the previous page. Let's do this one to be previous page. So the only thing that I want to do, and it should be actually easy enough. Let me check my note because I don't want to mess up this. If page value is less at page's value, we will increase the page and we get the movie. Pretty much. And remember that the parameter page is actually going through there. That's what we're doing here. And that one will update the movies value. So by default, it will give us everything that we need. And of course, for the prep page, so with something really similar, that if the page value is bigger than 1, we reduce that value by 1 and we get the movies again. Like we just refresh it. Remember, we're using an API, so we need to refresh those calls. We just get with movies, so that should be good enough. Let's go to pagination. And let's do the first thing. We're going to go to the script tag, setup. And we need to import from our helpers, use movies, right? We need to import 3 different pieces. We need to import the pages, next page, and pre-page. Oh, actually, we need to import the page also. The current page, then the total pages, the next one, and the previous one, right? The functions. So that will allow us to change this to be the current page or the current pages. And just with that, we should be able to see one of 500 in theory. There you go. We can actually see it, right? So now that we're able to do that with page of pages, whenever we click the less button, we can actually just do a click. We're going to execute next page, and this one a click. We're going to execute print page. Let's refresh just in case. Let's see it. Let's go to page number 2. He didn't like it. Oh, wait. This is the plus button. I have the function the other way around. So the minus button is the previous page, and the plus button is the next page. Okay. So let's click this one. I go to page 2, and the page just gets reflected. Then open this one over here. New gods needs a reborn, and we have that image at the background. Yeah. So it's working the way it's supposed to. Oh, we have the Groots here again. Let's open it. And we have the Groots background there. Perfect. If we do one more, we see that those ones are actually getting reflected. So whenever we open, we see that the movies get updated. If we just get back, we have those movies to be reflected again. We're in the page 1, we cannot proceed. Of course, I will not move all the way to 500 to test the other one, right? But yeah, it looks like it's working. Let's go to page number 5. Let's open Mulan, for example. There you go. Yeah, it's working. So with this, we actually conclude our third-party API integration with pagination using a bearer token. And we're able to implement it and put it in our movie database. When we log out, we're not able to see anything there until we log in again. And it's actually saved the state of the page that we are. If you want to keep it like that, we can keep it like that. If not, whenever we log in again, we just go to the page number 1 by default. We can actually do that. But let's actually do it just in case. Let's go to the navbar. And the logout, we just sign out. We call the sign out from there. Let's actually let's call this function call it out, and let's do a simple const out. Is going to be a function that's going to do what I'm doing there. There you go. That's going to call the sign out, and it will do. Let's import page from our helpers. Use movie, and let's do the page.value equal 1. And let's change it directly so we can actually not make the call. Let's see actually this works. We are in page number 5. If we log out, we log in. The page number 1 gets reflected. So probably just to clean it up a little bit, let's actually do movies.value equal an empty array, and let's import that movies. It's already there. Perfect. So if we are in page number 3, for example, start with my Hero Academy there. Log out and log in. We don't have that flickering on the other movies there. Cool. So we have everything that we have for now. I will close this video. Of course, you will have access to the source code. And remember, in order to make everything work, you need to create your API from the movie database. I will post the links at the end. So I will say, any question, any doubt, don't hesitate to reach me. Happy coding, everybody.